and we are going live to YouTube.
God bless you, Roger that.
I want to welcome Rock Breath, of course.
Roger that.
And I want to welcome everybody to the Saturday night special of The World According to That Man, Benjamin Jeremy Stein. It is tonight just the two of us. We could make it if we try. Was that the lyrics to the song? Or
I think so. It's just the two of us. I think there are a few more lyrics, but anyway, that's the main lyric.
Well, anyways, I want to welcome everybody to the show. I want to thank everybody that's in the chat that's been downloading the show. I want to remind everybody to please keep downloading the show, The World According to Ben Stein. You can get it wherever downloads are possible. So if you have issues with Apple, go to Chatbox. If you have issues with Chatbox, go to Stitcher. If you have Stitcher, go to Amazon. And if you have problems with Amazon, go to Spotify. But on that note, welcome, of course. And the show would not be complete without actor, writer, lover, saint, sinner, provocateur, husband, author, economist, statistician, mathematician, but of course, world-renowned Dr. Benjamin Jeremy Stein. We salute you, sir.
I do not use scalpels, pliers, scissors, anything in my surgery. Just these hands, these very gifted hands.
So my question tonight, right off the bat, since it's just the two of us, just how we started it all, is yes. Why are people so angry?
I'm glad you asked me that question, sir. May I answer it?
Well, it wasn't rhetorical.
Okay. Well, let me just say, you notice, those of you who are familiar with our performances notice that behind me is a beautiful blue and cloudy sky. And I am up here at our home in North Idaho, Sandpoint, Idaho, a condo on Lake Pend Oreille, which is a very large lake. And people are not angry here. People are cheerful and friendly here. And I believe it is because just the issues that drive people crazy in the big cities do not exist here. There is no question about diversity. Nobody's issuing ultimatums about LGBTQ. I still don't know what that even means. People here just want to get along, do their work, support their families, take care of their children. It is not a place for anger. It is not a boxing ring. It is a home, and it's a little bit of paradise. And it was interesting today. I was in the park. There's a beautiful park very close to where I am right now, right on the water. And there was a huge group of brown-skinned people whom I did not recognize at first, but I thought they're from Papua New Guinea. No, but close. They're from the Marshalls and the Gilbert Islands in the South Pacific. And these were scenes of some of the most bloody battles of World War II. Tarawa and Macon, and maybe some others too. And I thought, here these people are. They're from these places far, far away. They're here in North Idaho, and they're having fun. They're having a family picnic, barbecuing chicken, I think, and everybody's at peace. There's no warfare going on here. There's nothing to fight over. Everybody is just getting along great with each other. Everyone is
verbal
warfare with each other.
Verbal warfare. There's no verbal warfare.
There's no verbal warfare, Judah. There's everybody here is very peaceful and quiet and calm, and it's just it's paradise here. It's just paradise.
I'm curious to know why you haven't asked. Why I asked you that question. Why are people so angry?
Well, because I don't know why they're so angry, but there is no doubt that they are angry. But up here they're not angry. I don't know why, but they are not angry up here. People are quite cheerful here.
And this all led to, just so people understand, I had a pretty horrific conversation with somebody on the phone that I had never met before. You know, one of the things I learned from Ben more than anything is you don't have to win every argument. You don't have to win every debate. You could simply say, I don't know, but you have respect for people, and you don't scream.
You don't have to need to have the debate at all. You don't need to have the debate at all. And you can just say, you know what, with all due respect, I don't feel like having an argument today. I'd like today to be a day of peace, and I don't feel like having an argument. So
It's so funny though that you say that, because when I was talking to this person on the phone, this woman on the phone, I said that. I said, I have no interest in getting into this conversation or debate. And she kept on going for another 30 minutes. And I was like,
well, let's remember that's her form of music. I think you told me this woman was. May I say what you told me your occupation was?
yes, sure.
She's an accountant. And now I don't spend that much time with accountants, although I do spend some. And it's fairly boring, tedious work. She wants some drama. And what she really wanted was to make love with you, Judah. Powerful, passionate love.
But so somebody asked what was the context of the.
You were on the internet, so you couldn't do that. So all she can do is the equivalent. All she can do is a pitiful substitute for that, was have an argument with you.
And Ben, I need you to get a little closer if possible. Yes, perfect. The the full-on Ben. But somebody asked what this was in context to. I will give you the context.
Let's give us the context, please.
As Ben knows, I sometimes like to not be single. And I decided to go on one of the apps, and there was a beautiful girl. She had, I wouldn't say scandalous pictures, but I mean, they're not pictures I would show at work in a bikini. And so obviously I thought, wow, this girl is great. We're having a good conversation. And then she started knocking religious people a little bit, Christians, and saying, well, I'm Christian too. And Ben and myself, anybody that listens, it's not my cup of tea. I don't enjoy religious bashing. I don't enjoy Christian bashing. And which of course led into the big bad orange man the funniest thing was, she said to me, well, can you name me 3 things that he did or whatever? And I said, yes, he didn't get us into war. We had an extremely impressive economy for all people walks of life.
Extremely.
And he fought for our First Amendment rights. I said, those are 3 things right off the top of my head. And his foreign policy was brilliant. And obviously his love of Israel. What really steered it off was her blaming him for how many people died. And she kept on bringing it to.
Died in what, Judah?
From COVID.
Just died early. Okay.
Sorry, from COVID. I might need you to log back in and log back out,
Ben. Yeah, my friend Jeff, he needs you to log back in and log back out.
So we are having some technical difficulties. We will have Ben back in a second. So yes, thank you for telling me I could meet a nice lady at church or synagogue, but that was how the conversation went, obviously. And then she started screaming at me to the people that are interested until Ben gets back online. And I said, I've had enough of this screaming, and good luck. And even as I was hanging up, she kept on talking, which I found to be.
What she really wanted was sex with you.
You know what? You're completely right. I agree with you. I agree with you that after the pandemic, or having been isolated for a year and whatever amount of months, that is probably what she wanted. But she was trumping up the wrong tree on this end, because as you know me very well, Ben, I do not capitulate for sex. And Ben broke up again. We lost Ben.
She did not know that. I actually did not know that. But as you tell it to me, I believe you. But wait a minute. What did she want you to do? What did she want you to say to her?
She wanted me to say that Trump. She wanted me to say that Trump was the worst person in the world. She wanted me to say, and I want to emphasize something extremely important, Ben. Which is that this is what the problem with people like Mitt Romney. She's like, well, what's your opinion of Mitt Romney? And she's like, because I really like him. And I said, so you're being,
of course.
Right. So I said, you're being this extreme hypocrite because you're claiming to care about people, and you like a guy that his sole job in life was the destruction of jobs for people in America. And
boy, do I know all about that. I've written about that for Barron's.
Why don't you tell people a little bit, because a lot of people don't exactly know. Ben's the most pro-capitalist person. He wrote a book called The Capitalist Code, which I encourage everybody to buy. And he's having quite a few internet connections problems, so I can't tell if Ben could hear me. But why don't you tell people what Mitt Romney does?
Well, I hear you understand he's still. Well, I don't know what he does now. I mean, now I believe he's a senator, but his job was in what is it called? Like capital. He was a capitalist vulture, I might say. He would buy companies, fire lots of people, fire them right away, immediately, bang, as soon as he bought them, and that would lower their costs and raise their profits, and then he would sell them to somebody else. And then that person would probably find that the company was unusable with such a small staff and would close the company. And then everybody at the company would lose his job. So he was I think, they used to be called venture capitalist, but his whole job was to buy, loot, and then pump it up and sell it. I mean, he was not a nice guy in the world of employers and employees, not at all.
And on that note, Ben, we're going to have to try this one more time because your internet feed is a little. So what we're going to do is we're going to try the laptop again, and we'll try the laptop again. I will go to a quick break, and we will come back, and we will welcome Ben Stein back with open arms and open hearts and open brains. But on that note, I want to thank everybody that's in the chat. Ben is in Idaho tonight. So his connection is as beautiful as Idaho is. The connection, I guess, is a little shoddy for a Saturday night. But I want to remind everybody to get Ben's email, benstein.substack.com. And yes, that is a very good idea. Phone line, not cable, but that is an extremely good idea. That's if you have a cord that stretches that far. But Ben, do we have you back?
I'm here. I'm right here.
Okay, so welcome back to the World According to Ben Stein.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm right here.
The problem is you're a little bit on delay, so I'm asking Jeff if he could turn off the iPad and go back to the laptop, because that seemed to be a bit better. And we will, sorry for all the technical issues, everybody, but that's part of the show. That's part of why you guys love the show, is we do often have some technical difficulties. It's not YouTube pulling us down. And Ben, you're still there. You
right here.
I keep begging you to go to the laptop.
Well, sir, I'm setting it up. He said, Jeff is setting it up right now, sir. Whatever you want, we will do our best to give it to you. If it's not possible, then we won't do it. But if it's possible, we will do it.
Okay, that sounds perfectly fair to me. And as you were saying, Mitt Romney.
He's now changed to the laptop. Ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I am ready. That didn't change it. Oh, this is fun. Yes, thank you. That this is hilarious to all those that are watching. My absolute troubles with getting this set up tonight, but that's what happens when you are in a beautiful state that doesn't probably have the greatest Wi-Fi connections. And there we are. So welcome back to the World According to Ben Stein. I admire you, those that are married. Trust me, I wish I did not have to be on some of these apps that are available, but there we are. And here is Ben Stein again. So let's give this a shot. Here we go, Ben. You should be back. Here, welcome back, Ben Stein, the man, the myth, the legend, the man with a choppy internet service provider over there
in North Idaho, Champlain, Idaho.
Okay, I'll take
Champlain, Idaho on the.
Yeah, it's still choppy.
May I make a? Okay, may I make?
Yes, every time you're about to speak, Ben.
My producer here says that the connection to the iPad is better. My producer here says the connection to the iPad is better. Should we go back inside? Should we do it from the inside? That make any difference? Okay, Jeff says it's okay here.
We're perfect. We're good to go. Anyways,
Okay.
let's get back to it. We'll do it as well as we can. We're getting back to why people are so angry.
I want to hear more about the girl in bikini. I want to get back to the girl in bikini. The girl in bikini.
Well, she was just extremely angry. She started screaming at me on the phone.
I know, but I want to say I am up here in North Idaho. People are not angry here. People are not angry here. People are very calm. And if you go to a restaurant here, you see people happily enjoying their lunch or their dinner, and there's no arguing. There's no dirty look being. There are no dirty looks being exchanged among people at the restaurant. If you walk down the street, nobody's giving each other dirty looks. If you walk in the park, nobody's giving each other dirty looks. It's people are quite cheerful here, and why are they so cheerful here as compared to Los Angeles? I think it's just a lot less stressful being in an undiverse small town. I mean, and this is a fairly small town. It's bigger than it used to be, but it's a fairly small town.
God, it was going so well.
There's no diversity to speak of at all. But what diversity there is, everyone involves people behaving with great respect towards each other.
Okay, so here's my next thing that I'll bring up to you, because then she gets into this, the Fox News being the big bad person in the room.
I don't get that.
And here's the thing: at best, 10 million people a week, different people a week, are listening to conservative news, are watching or listening to the #1 radio shows, to the maybe 15 million. Let's say 15 million. Compare that, Ben, to every nightly news, CNN, which the ratings have gone in the tank, MSNBC. There's, and I realized today what it was, Ben. The internet. The internet truly is the great equalizer, because it's the one place that used to allow free speech. And the clamping down on the internet is a direct assault, obviously, on conservatives, because that's the equalizer to the insanity of the nightly news or MSNBC or any of that.
Well, but on the other hand, what I think you're asking a question that's very, very important, which is, why is it that an outlet for 10 or 15 million in a nation of 340 million should be scaring the beautiful people so much? The beautiful people do not want to be challenged in any way, shape, or form. They want. This is something I observed when I first moved to Hollywood. They want to be well-to-do, well-paid. They want to be well-dressed, and they want to be able to say that they're part of the revolutionary vanguard. As they want to drive high-end BMWs, high-end Teslas, high-end Lexuses, high-end Audis, and yet they want to feel that they're part of the intellectual vanguard, and that they're on the barricade, so to speak, against the reactionary hyenas. So they like that. The drama. They like drama. People like drama. Here up in Sandpoint, people don't like drama. People like living a quiet life.
Yet, on the other hand, you're constantly praising.
A day in Sandpoint where a person just spends a day fishing is considered a perfectly legitimate way to spend the day. That would be out of the question in Los Angeles.
Yet you constantly sing the praises of Los Angeles, but
I think LA has the best climate in the world. It has some very good restaurants. I have shootings of very good doctors in LA. I'm not comparing LA with Sandpoint, Idaho. Sandpoint, Idaho is very charming in terms of the quiet, peaceful life that is available here. It is not by any means a place where a person can earn a living as an actor, but it is a place where a person can take his few shekels that he has earned over the course of his life and live a quiet life, at least for part of the year. And I am blessed beyond words that I'm able to do that. And I can't do it all the time, but I'm getting pretty darn old, and I'll be doing it, I hope, more and more of the time.
And my biggest prayer for Sandpoint is that their internet speed picks up.
I hope it picks up. I don't know what to say. I feel very bad about this.
No, don't feel bad about it at all. Ben, Ben, the people that are listening love this. They love the hilariousness of the two of us. Me, you know
Very
what
hilarious.
bricks, you know what me bricks with every time you go in and out. I think it's great. I think it's funny. But I want to get to something else. But we talk about this quite often. So I don't know if you saw this story, but it was reported in Red State. And it was reported in Israel that a Chinese, and I'm not kidding, it's one of the highest Chinese officials who managed to get out of China, um, basically has admitted that it was more than man-made, it was given to individuals.
Oh my God. I absolutely have not seen that story. It's a terrifying story. It was given to individuals to kill them or to.
It didn't specify exactly, but
Very, very, very scary and terrifying to me. But we've often discussed China is a very, very dangerous place. I mean, I hate to say that because my friend Mr. Nixon opened relations with them, but I think that was a different China. That was a China that was not quite as expansionist as China. The China of Mao Zedong, which was a China that Mr. Nixon I made friends with, had plenty of internal work to do. They did not need to be expanding in the South China Sea or in the Uyghur region or wherever the hell it is that they're expanding. Uh, and they certainly did not need to expand by attacking the U.S. via internet. It was not even the internet when Nixon was president. So this new expansionist China, that's something quite new on the international stage.
no,
Oh
and
my
it's really
gosh,
frightening.
little children are just screaming near me. I hope nothing bad has happened to them.
But it's so scary how powerful they've come that we have industries here that have capitulated to them. It's mind-boggling when you think about it.
We have industries here that have.
No, but it's so mind-boggling. So let's go back to this person I was talking to on the phone.
Yes,
Who
I
has
wanted. Can you tell me her name?
no.
I'm kidding. I didn't think you would really tell me her name.
I got to be honest. I compartmentalize so much. I actually forgot it at this point. But my point being is, we have all these people here that claim to be these virtuous, puritanical people, yet have no issues with doing business with these monsters, and they really are
Yeah,
monsters.
well, that's always been true, sir. The beautiful people, the left wingers, the power players in Hollywood, all during the 30s, were not all, or many of them were communists and fans of Joe Stalin, the worst murderer in the history of the world up until then. And they had no problem with being pals and admirers of him, no problem at all. And during the 60s and 70s, when Mao Zedong was murdering his own people by the tens of millions, American intellectuals, including students, were waving a little red book of sayings of Chairman Mao, and I was one of them. I'm ashamed to say I was one of them, and we had no more sense than a pig. And that's the way today's intellectuals are about communist countries, even now.
Oh, I want to get back deeper into this anger thing, because I've never seen it at a scale that it's at now.
Yes, angry.
So you won the election, right? You won the election. You got the big bad orange man out. You got your dream puppet in, and you're still so angry. And there's something even
That's a very good point. And now, why is that, Judith? Now, okay, now we're really getting into some juicy psychological meat. People like being angry. It organizes their thoughts. It organizes their emotions. They don't need to feel lost and at sea. Their thoughts are collected for them by whoever it is they're hating. I've said this a million times. I'll say it again. Anyone out there in our audience who has not read 1984 is making a gigantic mistake. If you don't have time to read it, and I hope you do have time to read it, get the movie. You will see what a real dictatorship is like and how it helps with people's emotions. while at the same time killing them. People are being killed in America right now. Their insides are being killed by swallowing whole the evil precepts of Marxist-Leninist Bolshevism.
And in the inner cities, they're being killed literally. And the I believe it was the mayor of Georgia today. She blamed
Mayor of Georgia. There is no such thing as mayor of Georgia.
Of Georgia.
The
Or of
Christian
Atlanta.
state.
I'm sorry, the mayor of Atlanta. I'm sorry. The mayor of Atlanta blamed the increase in violence that they opened up too quickly.
That's incredible. Well, because the way it works with the African American souls who are trying their best to make a better life for themselves, the plantation masters within the Democratic Party will do anything to keep them subservient, and the main way they keep them subservient is to say, "You're nothing you do or nothing that's wrong with you is your fault." It's always Whitey's fault. It's always Trump's fault or it's somebody else's fault. It's never your fault. And people, until they realize that they can say, yes, it's my fault and I'm going to do better, they're never going to have any self-respect. The whole reason that people from Asia come here and can do really, really well, or so many native-born Americans can't do really well, is that the Asians can admit they've made mistakes and then can go forward with their lives. The native-born Americans, black or white, cannot do that.
So you having been abroad on mission, with the vice president, with the president, I believe, and Mr. Nixon, how do you think the world?
I was not overseas with Mr. Nixon. My father had the incredible privilege of going to China with Mr. Nixon, but I did not.
I thought you were in Air Force too.
That was not with Mr. Nixon, sir. That was with George Shultz,
obviously.
Secretary of the Treasury. That was with George Shultz, the Secretary of the Treasury.
So where did you go?
Japan.
Okay, so you went to Japan. My bigger question to you is, how do you think the rest of the world is looking at us right now?
I think they're thinking we've gone crazy. I think they're thinking that for the country that is still the most powerful country in the world and by far the richest, has a nitwit like Joe Biden as president and a complete dumbbell like Kamala Harris as vice president, there's something has gone drastically wrong.
And it's so ironic is that, they viewed Trump as being the buffoon, like that's how the world, but the world was scared shitless of him. He really.
I don't know. I don't think the Chinese are scared of anyone.
I don't think there's, I humbly have to say those tariffs seem to annoy them more than anything. I believe they waited.
Sure, the Chinese are just so. Chinese are so incredibly successful in international trade. It doesn't really matter what the tariffs were. They're so wildly successful in international trade. It doesn't matter what the tariffs did. They're still ruling the roost there.
Right. No, but to the bigger point, Ben, I think he did instill that America's back.
Yeah, I think he did too. And America was back. I used to have a very, very close friend named Peter Magnus Flanagan. He was an amazingly intelligent, brave guy. He'd been a Navy carrier during World War II. He was a very, very high power at the Nixon White House, and he was going to help me get my job, among other people. And he used to say, it's really not about how many aircraft carriers you have. It's about how much guts you have. And Trump had guts, and I don't think Biden does. And I think when Mr. Putin meets with Mr. Biden, he must think he's died and gone to heaven. That the head of this country, which is the major power rival to Russia in terms of military power, is being run by basically a paper doll.
No, can you say that one more? You said something that was just.
I said I think Mr. Putin must think he's died and gone to heaven.
Yeah.
That the leader of the country, which is his main rival for military power in the whole world, is basically a paper doll. And Mr. Biden is not a serious world leader. Mr. Biden is not a serious national leader. Mr. Biden is a kind of a joke. And I'm sorry to say, as bad as he is, Kamala Harris is worse. Kamala Harris is I don't even know what planet she comes from, but it's not planet Earth.
She doesn't know what planet she comes from either. And on that note, if you just tuned in, you are listening to The World According to that man, Benjamin Jeremy Stein. We do apologize for some of the technical snafus we have tonight, but oh well. And there's nothing we can do about it because we don't get angry. And I want to remind everybody to sign up for Ben's.
That's right. We don't get angry and we don't get even. We just let it be and we turn it over to God. And if people are acting badly, we turn it over to God and we ask God to help them, because it is entirely possible that those people are spiritually sick. If they're spiritually sick, we would not want to harm them any more than if they had some disease that was making them physically sick. We want everybody to be happy, and we're not going to start fights and torture people, and we're not going to start fights and torture ourselves.
You know, it's so interesting you say that, but if you just tuned in, you are listening to The World According to Ben Stein, and remember to download our podcast if you can. Even if you listen to this wonderful show, please still do it. But you bring up a very interesting point, because an apology, people are being asked to apologize for things that they had no part of.
I know. So, I'm supposed to apologize for slavery, and slavery, it was an incredibly horrible thing. But I had no part in it. My parents had no part in it. My grandparents had no part in it. What's going on here? What's going on here?
It's almost like, remember when Obama went on the apology tour? It almost like sunk into the American psyche. We all have to apologize. And Bill Maher, to his credit last night, said, stop apologizing. Like, what are you apologizing for? And the reason I bring this up is because you were talking about the other night, and you were talking about in a couple past shows about not fighting and admitting that people are spiritually sick. But at a certain point, you also have to defend yourself. You have to defend.
I would put it this way. I pray for those who harm me, and I do not wish them ill, but I can't avoid them.
But you also have to defend yourself. You can't take things lying down, because if you allow people to continually accuse, you're just going to be you are at that point at their mercy. And I don't understand. Here's another.
Sure, I don't think that just staying neutral in this discussion about reparations or apologies for slavery is lying down. I just say slavery was terrible. We all agree with that. It was unbelievably terrible. It's a disgrace that a great country like the United States of America had slavery, but 500,000 white men gave their lives to free the black man. Nothing like that has ever happened in the world any other time or place. Let's have some appreciation of the greatness of America for that.
And by the way, you misunderstood me because it broke up for a second. So I wasn't.
Sure.
So no, I wasn't referring to. I'm referring to in our culture right now, everybody having to apologize for basically being alive. You know, apologizing for being white and working, apologizing for if you're just all forms of apologizing.
I don't ever have to apologize for being white. I read about that, sir, in the newspapers and online, but I don't in my own life ever feel I have to apologize for anything.
No, but the bigger point is, what has gotten into people's brains that they feel like they have to do this?
Well, I think there's a certain psychological pleasure that people get from apologizing and from saying they're sorry, and that is not illegitimate. I mean, for example, if I was supposed to take someone out to lunch or dinner and I made a mistake on the day and stood up that person, I think an apology would be in line. That's not a bad thing. But to apologize for being white, are you kidding? No, I don't think so. To apologize for, I mean, and I've done many wrong things, and I do apologize for many of them. But just to apologize for the fact that I was born white, I'm not going to do that. It's crazy.
And I want to welcome a fan from Australia, and they're talking about in the chat that gun confiscation was the worst thing that ever happened to Australia. And I want to bring up that issue. It's often, Ben, it's interesting that we like to, the left loves to.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I missed a little bit.
the left loves to use the science they like to use, and they like to use the countries as examples of it that they like to use. So to take Australia, where gun confiscation happened, where people love to talk about Australia, you have an extremely high rate of violence. I mean, you could directly correlate the spike in violence, but so they don't like to talk about that when they talk about the confiscation of guns. It's this almost like you could say whatever you want thing because there's nobody to call you on your bullshit.
Well, there's nobody on the left or in the media who's going to call you on it if you're part of the left and part of the media. You can get away.
Okay, Ben seems to have lost his connection permanently this time. So, Ben,
I've lost my connection, Jeff.
It's back. You're back.
Are you sure I've lost?
Well, it's going in and out. It's very.
Yeah, I'm back. It's being in love means never having
safe. That is completely true. I've learned to get used to the pauses in the internet lapses over there. But I want to get into this. I want to get into this thing of forgiveness that you bring up because I think it is very important. Both you and I are in the 12 steps, in 12-step groups. And one of the things we like to talk about is forgiveness and being unwilling. You know, one of my favorite things is we're unwilling to admit that people are spiritually sick. But part of the problem, Ben, is where people are so spiritually sick, there's not enough chlorine to fight that off.
And you stay away from those people.
But you can't anymore. You just can't stay away. You could go to Idaho and stay away.
And just stay away. I can be in Idaho. I have a home, and I actually have a couple of homes in Idaho. I can come up here and stay away as long as I want. I have a home down in the desert in a gated community. And just go there and stay away as long as I want. I have a home in Malibu, far, not on the beach near the billionaires, just up in the hills with the working people. I might as well be on Mars. And I stay away from people who are dangerous, scary, crazy people. I just stay around, read my books about the origins of the Civil War, and live a quiet life.
Right, but you're blessed that you're afforded that luxury. Most Americans aren't. They're stuck. I know, but
I will not be much longer. I'm an old man, and everything's going to come crashing down at some point. But maybe it's already started crashing down. But I believe if you work at it, you can avoid conflict and being in the inferno and in the cauldron. As I've said on this show many times before, I spent a lot of time watching.
I'll fill in the gaps
about World War II. People suffered unbelievably in World War II. Unbelievably. We get to live lives of great comfort. We're fed, we're warm, we're cool. There are no giant leeches attaching themselves to us as we go through the jungles. We're incredibly lucky. Let's concentrate on that.
You know, it's really not easy when you do feel like you are under assault, when your values are under assault. I don't know how much more laying down people could take. I mean, we speak about this. Nobody likes to be pushed in a corner. That's one of your things you love saying is you people
my
don't like.
Internet connection is unstable. My internet.
Yes, we've all realized your internet connection is a little unstable.
People don't like what? I'm sorry, please, sir.
We've all realized tonight your internet connection is a little unstable.
Well, I don't know what to say. We're going to keep trying. We're just going to keep trying. I'm a little unstable myself, Judah. I'm a little unstable myself. And I want to back up to the beginning of the show. May I?
Yeah,
May I back up to the beginning of the show?
Yes, please.
You got put in a state of mind because you were dealing with a woman who was very unhappy and angry. Happens. That's the way people are. There are 340 million people in the United States of America. Roughly half of them are women. There are probably 20 or 30 million in your dating age cohort. And you can find another one. It's not that hard to do, and especially with the internet, you just find another. This one can go on and torment some other person,
But better to
and
find out,
let her torment herself,
better to
you
find,
just go on to the next person.
better to
Sorry,
find out sooner than
I
later,
think
but
so too. Imagine, but what if you had taken her out? What if you had taken her out for for a meal, and she started throwing this fit at the meal?
you see, and this is the point.
That wouldn't
Remember,
have been
right, and remember you had said to me, why do you tell them or why do you get into this conversation? Because I exactly want to
right.
avoid a situation occurring like that.
Right. Well, exactly what you're doing. That noise you hear in the background, which you may or may not hear, is the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad. This is one of the main track lines for the Burlington Northern Santa Fe, which is the second largest railroad in the United States. And it is very largely owned by a very, very rich man, I'm proud to call a friend, named Warren Buffett. And Mr. Buffett is a genius. He does not waste his time dealing with crazy people. He spends his time doing things that are constructive. I don't think Warren is that much smarter than you or I or Phil DeMuth or Alex, my saintly wife, but he spends his time very constructively. He doesn't spend it getting it eaten up by crazy people. And you and I both have that unfortunate characteristic. We have crazy people gnawing at us and eating up our time and the blood of our lives. It's an unfortunate situation, but I will tell you, if my son just got engaged today.
Oh, Mazel
I
tov.
love him a lot. His name is Tommy Stein. I love him a lot. His Mazel tov, Mazel tov. His fiance's name is Bree, and we congratulate them both. But
Mazel tov.
I'm going to send him a Mazel tov, Mazel tov. I'm going to send him an email later tonight giving him a couple of rules for being married. One is, boom, get a job. Don't depend on your aging, frail, feeble-minded father to support you the rest of your life. B or two, or whatever we're at. Forgive everything. Don't just forgive some things, forgive everything. The people you love, it's not too much to forgive everything. No matter what she does, forgive her and go on hand in hand to the future together. Number three, eat healthy meals. And number four, if you possibly can do it, save up as much money as you can. I once thought that I was going to be able to leave you a great, great deal of money. And I don't know if I can anymore. It might or might not, but best to have it on your own.
So somebody
There
asked,
you are.
that was perfectly and beautifully said. So somebody asks a question, so I'll ask this. What was here, let me find it. It was about the Civil War. What caused, I'd love to hear your view on the economic causes of the Civil War.
I don't think it was mostly economics. I mean, I think it was a moral issue mostly. The South, the slaveholding states, were doing something very fundamentally evil, and the northern states caught them on it. And the northern states also did not like the fact that the southern states had gotten so rich off slave labor. It's an amazing thing. But the number one most valuable asset in the United States in 1860 was human beings. And the idea that a human could own another human was just outrageously wrong. And I think the South is caught on that. I don't think it had to do with tariffs or with the fact that the South was a huge textile, raw material for textiles exporter. I think it had to do with a moral issue. And I think, by the way, that the reason the South lost the Civil War, despite having many very brilliant generals and incredibly brave, capable soldiers, was that they knew they were fighting for a morally evil cause. And when Grant accepted Robert E. Lee's surrender in Appomattox Courthouse, he said, after the surrender document was signed, he said, "I have rarely seen men fight so beautifully and never in such a bad cause." And I think the South has much to be proud of, and I think the South has made much more progress in integration and in treating Black people like human beings than the North. But slavery was just indefensibly horrible.
And there you have your answer on that. And if you just tuned in, you are listening to The World According to That Man, Ben Stein. I want to welcome everybody that's listening for the first time. We are sorry about the internet connections, but hey, there's nothing you could do about it.
Very sorry.
C'est la vie, c'est the old folk. Sometimes you just can't tell, right?
He said the old folks. It goes to show you.
I botched that
you
up.
Never can tell.
Yes,
it was a teenage wedding, and the old folk wished them well.
It's so funny though, by the way, about
Pierre did really not.
You want to know why it's so important sometimes, and it's a total non sequitur for why I like bands that cover music, like bigger bands. So I would never have heard that song without Bob Seger, without hearing Bob Seger's version of that song. So sometimes it's very important, for music from your day to be reinvented now so the new generation could hear some of the great songs from the past.
Absolutely. I'm so embarrassed. I don't remember who originally sang that song. I think it was Chuck Berry, wasn't it? Who originally sang Say Let Me Say the Old Folks Who Go to Share Never Can Tell. But that is a great, great, great song. And by the way, our son is marrying a great girl and a great young woman. And I wish them nothing but tremendous success. And I hope they can be as happy as wifey and I have been. And I learned every single useful good thing I've learned in my life from my wifey, the absolutely most perfect being on this earth.
I couldn't agree with you more. Considering I know wifey very well, and she is the greatest thing she's the greatest thing. But I want to get back to this a little bit. We're a little choppy tonight, so we will see how the internet connection lasts. But I think it's really, we talk about you've been bringing up watching documentaries about World War II, and you bring up the George Wallace one. Sorry?
Watching
documentaries.
I'm very, very interested in George Wallace.
Right. And watching the George Wallace thing. And I think it's really important that people start self-educating themselves. I think that's something that there's a real lack.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly important. The amount of ignorance in this country is just breathtaking and scary.
And it's absolutely terrifying, but it's also very helpful if you do engage in a conversation with somebody, decide to engage in a conversation with somebody, to know exactly what you're talking about. And the only way of doing that is by reading up on things. And I learned that from you. You handed me that Milton Friedman book one time, one of the many Milton Friedman books, and about the economy. And reading your book, The Capitalist Code, and I'm not saying this to the people, just so people understand, I'm not saying this to kiss Ben's butt. It's an extremely great book. I think
that's a perfectly legitimate use of your time.
Yes, and I sent one, I believe, to Rock Press. And if people are interested, we will send you the book. It's a great book, but you one of the greatest lessons that I wish everybody in America would read is your lesson on owning a stock. That when you own a stock.
What is a stock? What is a stock? That's a very good thing to talk about now, because we're now in a stage where young Americans are treating stocks as hands of poker in a casino. A stock is not supposed to be a hand of poker in a casino. A stock is ownership of a corporation. Its value is in the stream of income that the corporation produces, divided by the number of shares. People who are buying this or that fad of the moment on the stock market and hoping that they're going to become millionaires from investing just a few dollars. Well, good luck to them. I have nothing but hope for them that things turn out great for them, but it's not going to happen.
But my bigger
stock is ownership of a corporation.
My bigger point is it's the great equalizer.
Money is a great equalizer, but it's also a great unequalizer. But boy, money, you can do a lot of things with money. It's unbelievable how many things you can do with money.
No, but my point is, remember when we were younger, I don't even know if they still do this in school. You put money in a savings bank, you did something like that, or they taught us how to write checks. I think it would be
I
beneficial.
wonder if they do that. I'm not sure my son has ever written a check.
I know he has a
I'm not sure
checkbook.
my son has ever.
Yeah, he has. I know he has a checkbook.
Oh, yeah,
Whether
okay,
he's
okay.
whether he's written one or not. But I wouldn't it be beneficial so people, and I mean this, even if it was this a couple dollar stock, and I know this is going to sound like a very nanny-esque sort of thing, but when kids are in school, if they decided they're going to get a little stock and understand what capitalism is, because they don't understand, they're not being taught what
I don't
capital.
think so. I think it's like a couple of dollars doesn't teach you anything. I mean, if they have a couple $100,000, yes, that's valuable.
Well, we're not giving
Or
them.
even 10 or 20,000 is valuable. Well, I mean, Mr. Biden seems to be willing to give anybody anything. By the way, where's all the money going to come from for all of his programs? Where's that money coming from? I mean,
What do
it
you
can't
mean?
just come out of thin air.
We just print it, Ben. What are you talking about? It does come out of thin
I
air.
know, but when we just print it, the iron law is that leads to inflation. Oh, speaking of which, all right, let's differ. Stock market is not supposed to be stock market is not supposed to be a casino. Where I'm sitting right now is in my condo at a wonderful condo development called.
I'm just waiting for your internet connection to come back on.
It's
Otherwise, you look,
wonderful. I tell you, I used to stay here all the time.
Ben, you're freezing up.
All the time. I mean, before I bought these condos, I used to stay there. And the rooms would cost about very roughly $50 a night. Now they're about $350 a night. Inflation, inflation. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And boy, you young people, you are really in for a shock when you see how bad inflation can get when it gets roaring. I hope by some miracle, it won't get roaring. But when it gets roaring, it is really scary.
But didn't Jerome Powell, I mean, didn't he just come out and say it was underreported or what it wasn't, it's worse than we even thought? I mean, like the American public could feel it's worse than it thought. I mean, Anna,
Sorry,
Ben, sorry.
I'm having trouble hearing you, my dear friend. Let me just say the inflation is going to get, it's bad. It's a little bit bad. It's a little bit bad now. It's inevitably going to get worse, and people are going to suffer a lot. And the government cannot just keep printing this money indefinitely. Otherwise, the inflation will get really, really bad, and people are going to be requiring wheelbarrows to carry around the money to buy their loaf of bread with, just like they did in post-World War I Germany. It's really, I mean, inflation is going to be really, really bad.
Now, you're 100% correct. And I think what we're going to do tomorrow, because the internet connection
But
is.
tomorrow, I'm not going to be on. Tomorrow's Father's Day.
Tomorrow is Father's Day, and I wish you a happy Father's Day. I wish my father a happy Father's Day. I'm blessed that my father's alive, that I could wish him a happy Father's Day, as Ben constantly reminds me.
Oh, I miss my father so much, so much, so much.
And I think even that. I think it's really heartbreaking that we've lost in our country the idea of the father.
Oh boy, is that ever true? Wow, is that ever true? Wow. I have a very close friend, whose daughter, lovely, lovely child, is largely growing up without a father, and boy, she would have been a lot better with a father. There's nothing that makes up for not having a father. Nothing.
And my last question is, as we're running out of time, because I really think that's another sad message that's been imposed on us by the wicked left, is that fathers aren't important.
Yes, and that men are not important. I keep remembering this motto that used to be passed around by various man-hating women in Hollywood. A woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. What? No. Women do need men. Women do need men.
Can you repeat that?
Hey, there used to be a slogan that's being passed around by certain women who hated men in Hollywood. And the slogan was, a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. But that's just nonsense. Women do need men and men need women, and we all need each other. And children need fathers very, very badly, very, very badly, very, very, very badly.
I think what you just said is really the takeaway from everything, is that we all need each other. We have to start.
Exactly. And if people start acting awful to you, just say goodbye, baby, bye bye. Goodbye, baby, bye bye. Goodbye, baby, bye bye. Daddy's gone away.
You know, one of these days you're going to sing a song that I know but I'm happy you do this.
I'm a lot older than you, Judah.
No, but I think it's important that you do it, because you're bringing up songs that are great, that a new generation should hear. And I think it's extremely, like I said, I think it's extremely important that music is historic.
Yes,
they're historical references. You and I have some of the same taste in music. We like some of the same bands, and I think it's very imperative. And I also encourage people to listen to this amazing new video by my favorite band, The Killers, and they did a song with Bruce Springsteen. It's amazing. Watch the video for Father's Day. It's a great song, and I'll tell you, Ben, what the essence of the song is about. The song is about it's about his mother, and always knowing that his father would one day come around, and he finds religion and spirituality, and that in a sense brings their relationship together. And I think finding your spirituality, finding your spiritual guide in life, whatever that is for people, is so important. And I don't care what they say, about God or about fatherhood, about whatever. These things are important, Ben.
You bet. And it's very important that you not only have a father, but a good father who acts like a man and takes responsibility and does things right.
Yes, and Tommy, your son, is a great father, and I've known him for a long time, and he's a great kid. I am so happy to hear that he's getting married. I'm happy for you. But on that note, I want to thank everybody that's been listening, and sorry for the technical glitches. It just is what it is sometimes, as they say, Ben's least favorite saying. I want to remind everybody to get Ben's email, benstein.substack.com, because we are going to be doing a few more of these impromptu type shows on different nights. So if you follow us there at the email, we will be putting out blasts of when you could hear us.
That you will be tuning in and joining us. We would love to have you.
Yes, and welcome from Australia. Welcome from all over. Ben, you need to take us out one more time.
Goodbye, baby, bye-bye. Goodbye, baby, bye-bye. Goodbye, baby, bye-bye. Daddy's gone away. You were wrong. Pretty baby, bye-bye. For so
Oh, it almost held up for the whole song.
Pretty baby, bye-bye. Now so long. I don't know. Have fun, everybody.